Hello, I'm Carrie from Carrie Double Therapy, and I'm starting a series to explore a book, so reading through chapter by chapter, week by week. And I'm inviting you to join along, because sometimes we start books and want to discuss them or have reflections about them and find ourselves not having that opportunity to bounce back ideas, but also we can maybe get distracted or other things come up and we're not consistent in exploring the book that we want to read, particularly for self-development. So, as a therapist, I share my reading with people, I share links for people just to help them identify that there's writers out there, there's researchers who resonate with the experience that that person might be having. And someone that comes up again and again for me and for the work that I do is Brené Brown. She's done a lot of work and research around shame, around perfectionism, around understanding yourself, around belonging and loneliness. And it's something I'm exploring more in my practice and also for the group programs that I run. I've been running Authentic Confidence, but I'm researching and looking at developing a course particularly for rejection sensitivity and how that influences our ability to connect with other people, which leads us to feeling lonely and isolated. So, all of that linking together, I thought, why not share my reading and learning of one of Brené Brown's books that is particularly going to be resonating for the work that I'm going to be doing in January. So, this is the book, Braving the Wilderness. I haven't read it before. And so, my challenge is that I'm going to read a chapter a week and share this with you and invite you to read along with me week by week, just a chapter. So it's not too difficult, too onerous. Um, Actually, her writing is very readable because she uses a lot of stories to integrate the ideas and make them very understandable and relatable. So, Brené Brown's book, Braving the Wilderness, not Bearing, Braving the Wilderness, is the book that think I'm going to be reviewing. And I have read the first chapter. So the first chapter in here is Everywhere and Nowhere, it's called. And you might want to understand her experience of feeling like she doesn't belong. And this is what she does so well. So she introduces in the first chapter, Everywhere and Nowhere, what she's doing is helping you to understand, well, her journey is from this sense of always feeling on the outside, never feeling like she belongs. And she gives some really good examples of growing up and the environment that she's in. So it's in the late 60s, early 70s, where she starts in kindergarten and school and she moves around a bit. And she's part of a very multicultural element of New Orleans and noticing that for one reason or another, she's not feeling like she fits in, and then she's moving school again, always feeling like the new person. So we can all resonate with sometimes these environmental aspects make us feel like we are the only one. So it could be race, being either white or black or brown skinned and feeling like you're not the majority, and so feeling that sense of not belonging in that context. It could be in religious terms, in class terms, but also in gender as well, and other aspects of feeling like you relate more intellectually or sports or arts, and you find yourself not in the pool that you resonate with those other people. So she shares some of her experiences, but also what was profound was that sense of belonging to your family. And if you don't feel like you belong in your family, you feel like the odd one out in your family, that you're not understood, that you feel like your very being isn't incorporated, you don't feel like you're part of the family in a certain way, then that can be very difficult to manage. It really affects you, it breaks your heart, your soul, as she calls it, and your identity, your self-worth, your sense of who you are. So she relates all of that in this first chapter. And what she's doing is the quote that she describes is from Maya Angelou, who she really resonated with, who talks a lot about that sense of being part of something or not. And Maya Angelou's quote runs through the first chapter. It's at the heart of it, and I'll read it out because I can't remember it off by heart. But it's the quote that she describes in and that was really profound for her was this one. You are only free when you realize you belong no place. You belong every place, no place at all. The price is high, the reward is great. Now, what Brené Brown explains is that she just didn't agree with this quote, and she loved the work of Maya Angelou. She really resonated, and she felt a real disconnect and couldn't understand it, and she felt quite angry that Maya had this perspective that Brené didn't agree with, and she was trying to understand what that meant. And over time, an experience started to understand, and the depth of that quote became clearer to her. And Brené Brown also says in this first chapter, which I resonated with, that our perspective is brought about by the experiences we have. So our experiences are necessary for the perspective we have, and obviously that changes over time. But it was really useful to resonate with that. So yes, that we are only as good as the experiences we've had to have a broader perspective or not. And over time, we can change our perspective, is the point here. So Brené Brown didn't understand that. She felt that she'd been striving for and looking for belonging all her life. And it had affected her so much. She felt she didn't belong even at home, that she tried to numb the pain of that. So she drank too much, smoked, ate all, comfort it, and did actions and activities that she doesn't describe in detail, but we sort of assume, apart from hard drugs, everything else, she was saying, that was trying to numb that pain of not feeling like you fit in. So we can resonate with that. And then what she noticed, what happens then is you try and pretend it's not there. But what you're doing is you're trying to fit in, desperately trying to fit in with the group. And what that does is you become a people pleaser, you're looking out, you're being much more alert and aware to what other people are doing and saying and trying to fit your views to match those around you because you don't want to be on the outside. But what that does is it creates a separation between who you are and what you really know about yourself or like or don't like, your opinions. It separates that from the outside world. So you become disassociated with who you really are. And so you're cut off. And that creates its own problem and ache. And it's a really difficult one because that then creates more of the pain that then you try and numb and um, avoid. So it's avoiding the vulnerability of not belonging or not knowing yourself. And so by the end of the chapter, she accepts that she's now starting to understand what Maya Angelou was saying, in that it's not about trying to belong to others. It really is about belonging to yourself, knowing yourself, liking yourself, taking care of yourself, really understanding what you need and what you want. It's that at the heart of it. And that's what Brené Brown is starting to understand. And this is what the book, I'm assuming, is going to be about. How to get that true sense of belonging. And it starts from you, of knowing who you are and belonging to yourself first. So it's setting us up in that way, which I'm quite excited now to read on with. So I'd like you to connect, obviously subscribe would be great, and join me on this journey for the next few weeks. There's 7 chapters, so 7 weeks worth of just having a little brief update on what it is that Brené is talking about in this book, and maybe how this might resonate for us. Any comments I would love to read, and I will share them I will respond to anybody who dares to comment. Be lovely, lovely to hear you. Because for so many of us, we are seeking approval. I think particularly my generation, I'm in my 50s, so when we grew up in the 70s, there was still that seen and not heard for boys and girls. But I think for girls, being a good girl, fitting in, were quite highly valued. And, we would take on board those criticisms or the silences that would be around us as being that was something about us. So that seeking approval, that finding it hard to say no to things, really does resonate for me. I definitely struggled with that in my teenage years and early 20s for sure. And still at times it rears its head, I have to say, that um, tightness that comes when there's conflict or having to um, raise a different opinion or say something that somebody else is going to disagree or disapprove of, not like very much, that can feel still a little bit awkward for me, but I am aware where that comes from, but it's still there. So this is really going to be a helpful journey, so come along for the ride with me. I'm going to be sharing it every Friday, hopefully, but if not by the weekend, every week on YouTube. That's my commitment. All right, lovely. And I look forward to sharing this with you. My name's Carrie Dubber, Carrie Dubber Therapy. So please subscribe and like this if you do like it. And I look forward to the next time we talk. Bye bye.